Here I am in my Lunar Chronicles getup again. Let's talk about this book. Hello there, fellow viewer. My name is Gabriel, and today I'm filming my book talk on Winter by Marissa Meyer. This book was just perfect. I've been using words like fantastic and phenomenal and awesome and amazing, which fair enough do describe this book pretty accurately, but just perfect. That's the word that I am using to describe this amazing conclusion to the Lunar Chronicles. If you do not know what the Lunar Chronicles are about, which I find highly unlikely, these books are everywhere. In a very distant future, humans have colonized the moon. When Luna's vicious ruler just up and decides to take over Earth goes, no, and they kind of go to war. At the center of this conflict are our amazing protagonists, each of them introduced in each book in the series. Not only do we have these fantastic justice-seeking characters, but each book retells in its own special way a specific fairy tale. These books are extremely loosely based on the fairy tales, with only some key elements shown. Winter is again the fourth and final book in the series. We focus on Winter, the character, who is Snow White. I really don't want to take too long because I have so much to talk about. I recommend these books to the moon and back. They are amazing, amazing young adult books with fantastic characters, with a captivating world, with amazing writing. This author... Did I already mention the lovable characters? I'm pretty sure I have. The plot is enticing. The point that I want to emphasize is that Winter is an epic finale, an amazing conclusion. This isn't one of those series that you read the first books and then you get to the last one and it's kind of disappointing, it doesn't satisfy you. No. So many things happen in this book. Everything that needed to happen happened. It's action-packed, romance-filled. Please go read the series. I will now go and dive into a spoiler-filled section, so after you've read this book, come back and let's talk about it. Okay? Okay. Whew. So, Winter. Yes. So good. I loved it so much. It left me with such an overwhelming amount of joy to see how well it ended. Nobody died, thank goodness. If you watched my previous video, then you would know that I was expecting a certain character to die. Gladly, that did not happen. I loved seeing the little bits and pieces we got of Snow White's original tale. Something I have noticed about this series is that as the books progress, the fairy tales become less and less relevant, you know? What really caught my attention in Cinder was the fact that it was telling this story that we've known forever in such a special way. But as the series went on, we just grew so in love with these characters that we kind of forgot that they were fairy tale retelling. We were so captivated by their story that when something from the original fairy tale happened, we weren't expecting it, and I like that. I love that in this series. Another thing that I love is how gloriously long this book was. It took me about 4 days, I think, to get through it, but I read 2, then I took a break, and then I finished it because I knew that this ending was going to be intense and worth all my attention. Just like I mentioned before, everything that I wanted and that needed to happen to these characters and to this story happened in this phenomenal book that is honestly going down as one of my favorites ever. Probably my favorite book this year. It was fantastic. I'm going to talk a little about Winter the character. Now, I was slightly, just a teensy bit disappointed by Winter. Here's the thing, that little chapter we got of her in Cress made me highly anticipate this character because we were going to get to see this extremely set and solid character that did not budge from not using her lunar gift. And I'm not mad at Winter for having used her lunar gift. I guess I was expecting a little bit more when it came to Winter, and I did really like her as a character, more than Scarlet. If I would rank them, it would be Cress, like, way high up, then it would be Cinder, then it would be Winter, then Scarlet. I did like her. I thought that she was extremely characteristic, you know, just like all of them are. I like how unaware that she was. She just blurted everything that came to her mind, and how kind of annoyingly polite she was when she was addressing other people. I did like Winter as a character, even though I was slightly disappointed by her. In a way, I kind of admire Winter for being so persistent in not using the lunar gift, because she doesn't want to be like her stepmother. Jason, however, I will have to say, I did not like him at all. I did not. From our core main cast of characters, he's definitely my least favorite. I thought he was so annoying in this book. Every time he talked, I just went, shut up. His interventions weren't helpful to the plot. He refused Cinder's direct orders and he did his own bidding, and I get that he wanted to protect Winter at all costs, didn't want to see her hurt, but come on, sometimes you just have to shift a little tiny bit. I didn't like his personality. I didn't like him as a character, you know, as a person. I wasn't a big fan of his. So that is basically the only things that were wrong in the book, were my tiny disappointment in Winter and just Jason. But even that, there is just so many things that go down in this bind up of pages that these things are so minimal. You know, we get to see so much more of our previous characters. We kind of forget Winter is supposed to be the protagonist. I love that all of this book takes place on Luna. Luna has always been that distant, scary place. I loved, again, how Marissa Meyer built Luna. In the midst of so much going on, she was still able to write a captivating world, give us the proper atmosphere that Luna lived in, and the contrast between Artemisia and the outer sectors. I really like that. And again, Marissa Meyer outdid herself. There was this scene that I really liked, and that was the huntsman scene. I did not see that coming. Like I mentioned before, when something from the original fairy tale happens, you kind of forget that you're in a fairy tale until then. That is exactly what happened. I had completely forgot that we were going to see a huntsman, and let alone him being Jason. And it surprised me. When he was in the hearing room, I did kind of reach the conclusion that she was going to ask Jason to kill Winter, but I did not see it as the huntsman scene until it actually happened. It was another pretty meaningful scene that I liked. That was when Audrey and Pearl were locked up with Cinder. You know, I really think that it needed to happen, that Cinder really had to get these feelings out because she was oppressed by them all her life. Getting this chance to finally say, I was right and you were wrong, she needed that. And specifically at the end, this is what I love about Cinder, is that she is extremely humble and kind. And at the end, she even gave them an enormous advantage. She could have just taken Garon's advantage for herself. She gave it to them so they can sell it, so they can be filthy rich, and she just did that. That is not something easy to do. And again, it needed to happen. She needed to have this final confrontation with her stepsister and with her stepmother. Something else I found extremely awesome was, you know how in the original Snow White, she has this way with animals. You know, she sings and the birds land on her fingers, and the badgers and the crows, the doves, the cockroaches, the rats, everyone comes to her aid. And so Marissa Meyer took that to make Winter the leader of a wolf pack army, and I thought that was so cool. When Winter and Scarlet went down into the tunnels, I just went, yes, Winter is going to use her magical every animal loves me thing, Mabob, and I liked it. I did. Not only was it cool that Marissa Meyer incorporated this, but it added immensely to the plot. It was extremely important. Those are the tiny things that make me love this series. Marissa Meyer writes them in a way where they just join together beautifully with the original fairy tales, with the books in the series, with the characters. Just it's beautiful. Love it. Now let's talk about Cress and Thorn. Please, oh my god. For those of you who don't know, Cress has been my favorite since I've read Cress. I love her, and I've already repeated myself as to why, but in this book, it's like my deep love grew even more profound. I was annoyed that at the beginning, they wouldn't get together. Thorn and Cress just come on, you kissed in the last book. You have all but officially said I love you to each other, and you're still playing mind games. I don't like it. All the crap that happened, and then we get to the scene in the menagerie, and this is kind of the best scene in the Thorn-Cress relationship. Well, tied up with their last one. You know, when she says she doesn't want to talk about it, and Thorn says he doesn't want to talk about it either, and he just scoops her up and kisses her, and he basically admits that he said I love you to this other girl who looked like her. It was so phenomenal, and I liked reading through it so much. These two are the stuff of legend. I am a big fan, big shipper, and I love these two as characters. They work so well, and I love them. And let's talk about that final scene. I love how we got these scenes. It was like these actors were playing these characters for the last time, and each of them were saying goodbye one at a time. You know, the director would say cut, and everyone would swarm around them and say that was your last scene as said character. And I love these scenes. Cress and Thorns were obviously my favorite. Cress is in her wheelchair, her thingamabob lies down in her bed, and they just have this really tender and special moment. And another thing I want to mention is Thorn and how I grew to like him even more in this book. Scarlet introduced Thorn and I was like, yes, I like this character. Then Cress and Thorn got together and I'm like, yes, 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 all the yes. And something that I did notice was that even in Cress, in the middle of Cress, they're in the middle of the desert alone with nobody else, and Cress is saying why she admires him so much and why she thinks he's a hero, and he's just there thinking, no, 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 oh wait, no. And he starts to change. He wants to become this person that she sees in him. To Cress, he's already worthy of her love, but to Thorn he isn't, and he wants to make himself worthy of her love. And we see that in Cress, but in Winter it's just so much more profound, and I liked it so much. The very last scene, like the very last bunch of paragraphs, is him basically saying, I'm going to do everything in my power to become a better guy. Get a legitimate job, check. I'm gonna legally pay for my stolen ship, in progress. I'm going to aid Cinder in taking down this manipulative psychopathic killer. Oh wait. It's so cute, and I liked it so much. They kiss, and the curtain closes, and goodbye Cress and Thorn. It's so bittersweet because it ended so well, but it ended, you know? Aiko, I'm going to extremely fast rush by Aiko and just say that she set herself as one of my favorite characters ever, and I was not expecting this. If you remember correctly, I don't like robots. They disturb me. Some people are disturbed by space, some people are disturbed by other things. My Achilles heel in fiction is robots. I do not like them, especially humanoid robots. And then just the fact that Aiko is a robot, and I just kind of forget that. She makes me forget that. I love it, and Aiko is one of my favorite characters in this series. I love her. I'm not going to talk about Scarlet because it just so many more things are going to have to be said. I'm sorry, Scarlet, but we're going to have to jump past you. Oh, I'm going to say that I forgot she was so quick-mouthed. I have forgotten about her silver tongue. Scarlet was the only one I haven't reread. I've reread Cinder and Cress. Both of these books we barely get any of Scarlet, and I had forgotten that she was so quick to respond and quick to retort. I did like it. I did like reminding myself of her nature, and that is what I'm going to say for Scarlet. Also going to have skip past Wolf. I'm sorry. Maybe he'll get a few moments in my Stars Above book talk. Now I want to talk about Levana, and you know, Levana, since Fairest, he's kind of been my favorite young adult villain, and this book just proved it so much more. You know, we get a lot of Levana, we get a lot of why she is the way she is, and I'm blown away by this book. She's something else, you know? Something Cinder and Levana do in fact have in common is their lack of love. Let's take Levana. Levana's parents were her parents, you know, they were king and queen. They didn't have time for her, whatever. They didn't pay attention to her, and she wasn't loved by them. Then she had the monster of a sister that she had that did that to her. It's kind of incomprehensible. Still, at 6 years old, can you imagine someone doing that to you? Your sister, your sibling doing that to you at such a tender age. She was clearly traumatized for the rest of her life. Levana has never felt love. She's never been loved, and so her goal in life, her ultimate objective was to force people to love her. She wanted to feel loved, but by force. She made them her admirers. In her eyes, she did what was correct for Luna and for the kingdom and whatever. It's still wrong. It is. I don't agree with what she did. But in her perspective, it was right. And so we have this sad lunar being who is forcing everyone around her to love her when no one actually does. And I think that is so strong, almost unspeakable, that someone would have to go through that. You know, I mentioned in my previous video about Winter that I wasn't expecting her to surrender, you know, it wasn't going to happen. I didn't see it happening. So when she did kind of announce her surrender, I just went, no, this can't be so easy. And obviously what happened. This last scene was crazy intense. Like, I spent 4 hours yesterday so I could finish the book reading. This was the only time where I just straightened myself and said, okay, crap's about to go down. I'm glad no one died. Cress just got stabbed and I was no. Extremely glad that she was okay. Thorn lost 2 fingers, but you know, that comes with the territory. Anyway, back to the lack of love thing. On the other side, we have Cinder, who does everything in her power so other people don't have to suffer like her, so they don't have to grow up without love. She wants her people, Luna, to actually feel loved to have a ruler that they are proud to have. That's everything that's different between Levana and Cinder. That's what sets apart a hero and a villain. They were under the same circumstances, but they just branched out in completely the opposite direction. And that's something I love about Winter, you know. She is a second, not a close second, because my love for Cress is like huge, but she is a second favorite that, you know, just could have been up there. I love Cinder. I also really like that she's our protagonist throughout the series. I loved seeing her progress and her mentalizing herself that she is going to be the Lunar Queen. She makes the decision to dissolve the monarchy. I support her on this. The monarchy was what led to everything dismantling, and so I think that putting a republic on Luna would be what's best. Oh, and one of the things that certifies Cinder as a loving character is that the first thing she asks as queen is that cyborgs be treated equal. How awesome is that? It's a precedent to how great of a leader she's going to be. Queen of Luna or Empress of the Commonwealth or both, you know, she is going to be a humble and kind and gentle and loving and awesome queen. I would love to see her reign, but unfortunately we're not going to. Unless the wedding in Stars Above is Cinder's and Kai's, that would be amazing. A guy can dream. The last thing I want to say is that everything just folded up so neatly with a bow. I do like book series that end in a way that make you think, that make you wonder, maybe this happened or maybe that happened, but this book just tied every loose end perfectly. You know, even Scarlet and Wolf, people are saying that they rushed by the fact that Wolf was going to be this bloodlust monster, but the thing is, they mention it extremely briefly. True that it's rushed, but they do in that final scene they have together. Wolf kind of says, aren't you worried that you know, Scarlet just interrupts him and says, you're the only one, Zev Kesley, and that was adorable. I loved it. I understood that as we are going to do everything in our power to get through what has happened to you, and we will get through this. I liked it. The only thing that kind of makes us wonder is Cinder's future. Our protagonist's future is kind of left open. Is she actually going to dissolve the monarchy? Is she, as I really anticipated, going to stay queen and then marry Kai and actually have an alliance with Luna, or is she just going to be Empress and just she had all of this trouble to acquire what she acquired, and she's willing to give it up, you know, for the better of her people. Just, I love Cinder, okay? Enough of Cinder. I've said thoroughly how much I love her, so okay. And that is everything. That is all. I have been talking for 35 minutes, and that's a testament to how much I love these books, you know? They are extremely, extremely amazing. I do want to reread them as soon as I can because I want to relive this adventure. There is nothing like the first time, true. This book was so incredible. I loved how action-packed, how many things happened without it being too confusing, and I cannot wait for Stars Above to jump back into this universe. We have that special epilogue in which someone gets married. Cinder and Kai, Cress and Thorn. Cinder and Kai, Cress and Thorn. Just one of these two. Please, please, please. I will be doing a video for Stars Above, so please stay tuned for that. You will probably hear some things that I've left out for this book talk. Again, it was amazing. It was everything I wanted. It is going to go down as one of my very favorites, and yes, I love it so much. Okay, yes, gotta stop talking now. I hope you stay tuned for my next videos, and remember to keep your day a very bookish one. Goodbye!